You feel like rain in the morning, giving me mixed emotions, and it's too much sometimes.
Hey beautiful people, welcome to my channel. My name is Dorinda, you know the drill. So today's video we are going to be making Ghana Jollof. What did I say? I said Ghana Jollof, not Nigerian Jollof, guys. I said Ghana Jollof. So yeah, listen, Ghana Jollof is the best. If you want to argue with me in the comment section. Like, come on. But anyways, so I'm going to show you guys how I make my Ghana Jollof, the rich Ghana Jollof. You don't need a lot of ingredient. However, your jollof is going to be very rich and spicy and very good with flavor when you're done with this jollof. So as you can see in the video, I start getting all my ingredients ready. I've listed all the ingredients on the screen. I start cutting all my onions. So I do use 4 or 3 onions. You can eat whatever onions you want of your choice, but I use 3 or 4. I would always advise for you to get all your ingredients ready, start cutting everything before you start making your actual jollof. In that way you don't get confused if you've missed anything whatsoever. So yeah, that is the best way to make not even just jollof, like whatever type of food you're making. Make sure you get all your ingredients ready. And yeah, very important to wash all your ingredients. So as you can see, I'm washing my bell pepper. So I use 2 or 3 bell pepper. You can use whatever pepper you want, but I feel like having bell pepper in your food is very good, and it just makes your food very rich, you know. As you could see at the beginning, I was cutting my onions, so I did cut some in big chunks to put in the blender to blend. So what I put in the blender is I put 2 lot of onions in there, and I put chili powder. You can use chili powder, or you can use Scotch bonnet. You can use whatever pepper you want to put in your jollof. So I use garlic and I use ginger as well. As you could see, I am blending everything, making sure there's no chunks or anything in it. Now let's start making our jollof. Ghana Jollof, I said, listen, whether Ghana or Nigerian jollof, you can use this recipe to make your food, trust me. So I get the cooker ready. I put a utensil on the cooker and I pour a bit of oil in it. Guys, this is the trick. I do not use a lot of oil making food. Also, the less oil you use in your food, it helps you not to have that oily kind of feeling within your food. So yeah, so I'll try to make sure the oil is on the fire for like 5 minutes before I put the onions and bell pepper in it. As you can see, I stir it for couple of minutes, 2 to 3 minutes, to make sure it is giving that crunchy feeling before I add anything in it. So the next step is I add my tomato puree in the onion and bell pepper. So guys, this is it. Make sure you stir. Don't just leave this. Make sure you stir. Make sure you leave it on the fire for a couple of minutes. You could tell the difference. So as it's a bit all hot and everything, then you add your blended onion, chili, ginger and garlic in the tomato puree. So you have to make sure you stir it for a couple of minutes, and also you make sure you leave it on the fire for 10 to 15 minutes. What I tend to do is I always make sure I go back and forth to be checking it. So this is the time you put in your spice in it, whatever spice you want. I tend to go for ginger, I tend to go for garlic, and I tend to go for chili, and I also put jumbo in it. People say jumbo, but guys, I say jumbo. So I put my jumbo in it, and I use the all-purpose one. So this is the time you blend your tomato. So I use 1 tin of the plum tomatoes, or I tend to use the chunky one. Once it's all blended, you will pour this in the pot on the fire. And yeah, so once that is done, you make sure it's on the fire for like 20 minutes, and this is how it's going to look like. Literally, guys, you need to make sure it's all stirred and everything. Some people tend to blend the tomato and put the puree, all of it together at once, but guys, I feel like when you do it that way, it gives you that tomato paste or tomato puree kind of taste when you're eating. So I tend to space in mine out. I don't know if you get what I mean. Which is, make sure your tomato puree is on the fire for 10 to 15 minutes. Then you add your tomato, the blended tomato, in your pot. With this, you leave it on the fire for 15 to 20 minutes to make sure it's all smooth and it's all looking very stewy. Once you've tasted this stew and you feel like it's the right taste for you in terms of your spices and everything, this is the time we add our rice in the stew. So I tend to use the green dragon rice. You can use whatever rice of your type or your preference that you want. As you could see, I am pouring my rice in the pot, guys. So I use 2.5 lot of rice. So this is it. I do not wash my rice when I'm doing jollof. I wash my rice when I'm doing normal rice on the rice cooker, but I do not wash my rice when I'm doing the jollof. And guys, it's not sticky. It doesn't tend to be sticky. But yeah, some people tend to wash the rice before they put it in the stew. But for what works for me, I do not wash my rice when I'm making jollof. Once you add the rice in the stew, you make sure it's all stirred evenly and not having any white chunks or anything in it. Also, just to add, I do not add water to my jollof. I make sure my stew is a lot when I'm making my jollof. Guys, I do not add water to my jollof. I feel like adding water to your jollof kind of makes a different feeling, but make sure you have enough stew so that when you put your rice in it, your stew is going to balance it and makes things even. However, towards the end, and if you feel like the rice is very hard or whatsoever, you can sprinkle a bit of water. Tend to add foil to cover the food. So you don't have to do this if you don't want to. But yeah, I tend to add foil to cover the food. I feel like it actually give it some feeling. I don't know what it is, but yeah, I tend to cover it with foil. Then I cover the lid. So I use the lid to cover it. Then what I tend to do is I tend to lower the cooker. You don't want your fire to be on full blast. No, is we slice some carrots. So I tend to add carrots to my jollof. It just makes it colorful, you know, when you're eating your jollof, and it just makes it a bit pleasing to eat. You don't have to put carrots in your food if you don't want to, but I do it. So I tend to cut it in smaller chunks. Guys, I thought like this was a bit chunky, you know, I was in a rush. So but yeah, you can cut it a bit smaller if you want, and you put it in your jollof. However, before you put your carrot in your jollof, you need to make sure your jollof is looking like this. It's looking like this before you put your carrot in the jollof. Once you stir it, you need to make sure you're very gentle while stirring it, and you could see how colorful it's making it look like. So the next step is I use mackerel fillet. But guys, this, I feel like, to me, this is what makes my recipe a bit different. And now, so you remember at the beginning I said that I don't use a lot of oil in my jollof because I sometimes tend to use the oil of the mackerel, and I use the sunflower oil. It gives you that kind of like rich feeling when you're eating it. I don't use all the oil in it, so I pour some of it in the sink and I put some of the oil in the jollof. But you need to make sure you stir it gently when you put it in the jollof. But you could see, so I tend to prefer to have that kind of fishy flakes in my jollof. But guys, listen, whether you're making chicken, whether you're making beef jollof or whatsoever, if you add this mackerel fillet in your jollof, it changed the game for you, trust me. And you could see the end product, guys. So you make sure you leave it on the fire for like 20-30 minutes. You need to make sure you stir accordingly. But guys, this is the finished product of my jollof. It's looking all rich, it's looking all good. Listen, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to follow. Listen, in the comment, let me know what you think, and let me know if you're going to be trying my recipe for my jollof. Ghana Jollof or Ghana Jollof. Bye guys, make sure to follow, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.